One of the main differences on DemoPad to many other control systems is that installers have the complete flexibility to design a graphical interface using any images. You're not tied to any specific images, and any image can be a button and have actions and commands attached. And this is just one example of a typical DemoPad user interface. We have graphics templates that you can buy. These cover all kinds of modules from climate and heating, ventilation and audio-visual. In a basic system, you would create a project using our PC software, which is on your computer. It's not a cloud-based system, so you have complete control over the software. And once you've created your project, and there are templates so that you've got a fast start to get going, once you create the project, it's a simple process to upload it to the iOS or Android device, and the program then sits on there. So you have a complete program all contained within an iOS or Android environment. And that then sends IP commands over your network to the control devices.
This is the basic Centro 8M setup that I have here on the bench. As you can see, it's a very small unit and it measures about 90 by 70 by 20 millimeters, so it is very small. It has Wi-Fi connectivity or network connectivity. It's your choice. As you can see, I have it here with 3 cables. There's the standard power supply cable with micro USB. At the back, there's a network cable, which is the one I'm presently using, which goes directly to the network. And attached to the back, there is a USB to RS-232 cable. That cable then goes into a RS-232 to 485 converter, which then goes up to my test rack, connecting to the A and B terminals of the Futronix controller's RS-485 input. As you can see, the test rack here has 8 cards for simulating a Futronix PFX or EnviroScene dimmer, and just 1 control plate per master, on, off and so on. Or it could be programmed as required. That's just the basic setup, and that's all you really need to get the Centro 8M up and running. The Centro 8M is a very easy device to find and put into your project as a driver. So, if you go to your project settings panel and click on New Centro 8M, you will actually discover any Centro 8M devices on the network. As you can see, it's discovered mine. As you probably saw earlier, it's 192.168.0.27. The default IP is generally .100 at the end. So, if I add that project, it will then put it up here on the page. But because I've already got it, it will be silly to add it in. But it's as simple as that, and then you have the device available. Now, very quickly, if I click on the device, you can see there's the IR port 123, and then the COM port, which we're using. This COM port already has my commands assigned to it that I can use, so it's quite handy. I can just click on any of these commands when I want. So here you can view and edit the commands. I've just got my RS-232/485 commands available, so I can add the device anytime. Once you receive the zip file for the DemoPad test, you open it, and you will see several things in the folder. You will see the TestPad Files folder, and this contains basically the graphics for the setup. The TestPad is the most important one, the one with the DemoPad logo. So, what you need to do is double-click on this, and it will then open the Pad Designer software. and it will open to a full page and then show on the left the selection of the pages, and so on. OK, you can see it's a demo design. I'm using version 2.316, which is the current version at the time of making this video. And on here, there are the pages Portrait and Landscape, which you have for a pad or for a phone. And the most important things here are the devices. I'm using a Centro, and that Centro can actually store a program on it to run something with Centro buttons, which I will demonstrate later. And then the Futronix, as you can see again, actually uses the Centro as a pass-through using the same IP, but port 4999. And all the commands from these particular pages will go through that device, from the RS-232 to the RS-485 to the PFX controller. So any command needs to be assigned to Futronix lighting. OK, so the next stage will be just showing the pages. Here we are back on the software. Once it's loaded up and I'm actually on Home Portrait page, this will show you the text for determining the test that you want to do and how to do it. So, with Test 1 and 2, you can find out how many circuits you have on a system and how many are in each zone or area. With test number 3, you can find individual light circuits by turning them on and off, right through from circuit number 1 to 128. And test number 4 shows you the first 8 channels, channels 1 to 8. And this raises and lowers each respective dimming channel, which shows that the system is working correctly. OK, there's a little bit at the bottom as well that you might be interested in. This is if you're using the Centro 8M controller. What you have here in the landscape mode is the Centro commands, which is separately assigned. And this means that these buttons will work even from a web browser anywhere on the network. Once you open a web browser to access the Centro, you can turn lights on and off in any zone you like, or select a scene. As to set up your phone, you need to go into the Settings section and select your Centro Control app information. Allow it to access the camera, and then you need to go to the Project Setup and Show System Load screen. Then reload the images and sounds and make sure the file name is test in lowercase text, not uppercase. It must be in small lowercase. OK, so now we can go back to the Centro app. What it will do now is it will check the file name which you've entered, called test. And then, when you're ready, you can just touch the Scan System QR code, and that will download from the PC. So, what I'll do now is I will actually initiate the Publish to App, which is at the far top left or button F5. That will enable me to save the project, but I don't really need to. What we'll do now is to bring up a QR code. And you must keep the screen open while it's uploading. Now, if I do scan, QR code, find the code, it will start downloading the files. If it doesn't work first time, repeat the procedure to make absolutely sure that the codes are being loaded correctly. There we go. It's taken a few seconds to load everything up. So now we have the main screen, like I said. The homepage portrait screen is found here. If I twist it around, you'll see it will change to the other set of commands. So I will now run through and show you the app operating the lighting control in the next chapter. We go to the DemoPad demonstration. Now the program has loaded onto the iPad. If I touch the Centro control, the app will open up. And because I've got it on landscape mode, it's come up with those selection buttons. If I go back, it will show you the main screen. If I then turn there, it will go to the landscape where all the buttons are. So, if I go to the first one, which is Circuit Finder, you will see all the buttons for Zone 0 through to 15, and all the circuits from 1 to 128. Now over here, I've got the LED on the side. Zone 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So, I'll just use those for demonstration. If I bring on Zone 1, as you see, Zone 1 LEDs have lit, and at the top you will see 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8 have lit. And the reason Circuit 1 has not lit is because it's not in Zone 1. It's in Zone F, so therefore it won't respond. So there we can see now in Zone 1 we have 7 circuits. If I turn it off, the lights will go out straight away, and the lights at the top have gone off. Now, this can take a few seconds depending upon how much information is loading. But in reality, when you're running a proper program, it will be a lot faster. So, if I call up Zone 4, again, Zone 4 lights come on. And you can see here that circuits 25 to 32, those 8 circuits, are in Zone 4. So, it's a good way of finding out all your zoning. Now, if I do Zone 0, everything comes on, and then you can tell how many circuits are on the system. Now, as you can see, I've actually got 8 boards here, simulating the whole PFX, and everything is lit. So again, if I turn off, they'll all go out. But it will take a while for the circle indicators to go off, because it's loading a lot of information. OK, that's the first test for zoning and circuit finding. Now, you can do the circuit 1 to 64 on and off, and here you can select individual circuits. For instance, circuit 7. Circuit 7 has come on. I'll put it round there so you can see circuit 7. Probably a little tricky to see on the rack. And then press circuit 35. And then we've got circuit 35 just behind the panel, which has lit up. Again, I can turn that off and away we go. I will turn those 2 off as well. So, that's individual circuits, and you can jump down here to the 65 to 128. I will just slide that over and touch 128. You will see that the very last circuit on the pattern has just come on, which is the 128th circuit. OK, back to the main screen. Now the dimming test basically brings up circuits 1 to 8, a slider with a value. And an on, as you can see, will bring the bar full on. An off will bring the bar full off. And then, if I slide up the slider, the value increases and the level of the light is increasing as well. If I do number 2, same there. Number 3. This is just to test that the dimming control is fully operational. As you can see, as the blue slider comes up, the actual circuits on the rack light up. And if that happens, you know everything is working well. Again, I can just turn those off. So that's the main circuits and information. Now, there are further buttons down here, which is the Centro control. If you are using the Centro unit, if I touch that, I've got the 16 groups of Centro buttons. Now, this is purely for scene selection and on and off, and this is through the Centro processor itself. So, Zone 7, they're all on, and Zone 8, they're all off. And the reason for this is that this panel would be actually available. All these buttons would be available through a web browser, which I will revisit soon and demonstrate in the next chapter. I'll call up the web browser and you'll see everything there, and you'll be able to see how these Centro buttons work. Also, using the Centro, I will show you the macros which you can design to bring lights on or off, or even set timers as you wish. So, we're now back to the main software panel on the laptop here, and we're going to look at the Centro 8M processor. If you're using one of these, you can actually upload the whole program and the actual web interface pages, just exactly as you see them here, will be uploaded and can be seen from any web browser. These particular buttons, because they are actually assigned to a command on the Centro processor itself, rather than the Futronix, it means that these buttons will actually work standalone from the Centro itself. I will demonstrate that in a few moments. But to upload, you would press the Upload to Processor, enable these three boxes, then press Upload Now, and the information will be uploaded to the processor, including the graphics and so on. Now, this one located here is called 8M2, and the features you can have are macros. So, if I click on macros, it will open up a processor macro page that can be dependent on a flag or a number of other features, like a specific day or time. So many seconds in the future, when an input activates, when an input deactivates, when a variable changes, and so on. And it can be set to any of these days or a specific date and time. If I click on that, it brings up a date and time. It can also do sunrise and sunset astronomical time clock functions. If I call up a macro here, for instance, all on, which I have assigned to one of our commands. If I click Test Macro, and it's already been uploaded. If I click Yes button, you will see everything lights up, and it tells us the command is sent. Then if I select an All Off, test the macro, hit Yes, the command has been sent as shown on the screen. So that's just proving the command can be tested from the software itself. So you don't have to keep uploading it and hoping it's going to work. You have IR triggers, so you can actually trigger actions to do certain things when a particular key is pressed on a remote control. You can configure the RS-232 ports. The only thing we do need to make sure of is you don't have to give it a name if you've only got the one on there. But you do need to make sure the response terminator is a code on there. So that's what we need to get the commands back into the system so that it knows that it's Futronix. That's the important entry you need to make sure has been done for the two-way commands. If you're using one-way commands, you don't need to worry about that at all. And then the last thing we have here is basically the browser control. And if I double-click on this, it will bring up a standard web page in your assigned browser. You may need to make sure it gets through your firewall system. It will take a few seconds to load, and then if you use the default DemoPad as the username and password in lowercase, you can then log on to the Centro 8M webpage. And this will have all the pages that you have defined in landscape mode. It doesn't work in portrait, it only works in landscape. That's why I have these extra buttons in landscape for the home page. So I could show you the circuit finders that we used, commands using the Centro unit itself. If I now do Zone 0, on which is the master control, you will see all the lights come on. If I zoom off, the lights will go off. And this will be the same for any one of the zones on or off. Or, if I have scene setting buttons assigned, then that will certainly work. Or, if you want to change the fade rate, you can press a button and change the fade rate from the web browser. The other great feature of this is that you can operate at the same time from two browsers. So, if I go over here to my PC, I'm already logged in, and as you'll see, if I hit the All On, the lights will go all on. If I hit the All Off, the lights will go all off. And that's working exactly the same as this browser at the same time logged into the Centro 8M. So again, basically you can just see what you're going to get on your pad very quickly, nice and easy to check. Access from anywhere remotely the commands, the macros that I have defined earlier here. You can call these up direct from web browsers or through IFTTT, as long as you can get through your firewall on your server, and you know what your public IP addresses are, and so on. Thank you for watching this Futronix presentation.